this. The property, the land improvements and accessories are collectively referred to as the property. And then in paragraph A, they're asking for a legal description of the property. That's why I recommended earlier that you have a copy of the tax records so that you would have a legal description of the property. Once again, probably 95% of the time, or maybe even a higher percentage based on where you're doing business, the legal description is going to be a lot block. So you would just get that out of the tax records, lot so-and-so, block so-and-so, and then the name of the subdivision, the county, the city, and then the physical address. And guys, when you're filling this out, put that address in there and the zip code. That's going to actually help your lender. They're going to key that into their system. If you don't have a zip code in there, it could just delay process, and you'll be doing your lender a big favor by going ahead and including that information. Now, if you were to get a legal description that was a meets and bounds, you're not going to be able to get that description into this few number of lines, because a legal description that's a meets and bounds could be several paragraphs long, maybe pages long. So typically you can just move over into that section after the lot block and just say, see attachment A, prepare an attachment A that is the actual legal description, the meets and bounds. But more than likely, you're not going to have to deal with that that often. Now, the next two paragraphs B and C, I'm not going to go through and read this for you, but I strongly suggest that you read these and that you're familiar with what is expected to stay with the property at the time of the sale. This mirrors what's in the TAR listing agreement. So when you go in a listing agreement, you can specify to your seller that all of these items in paragraph B and C, if they do exist, then they will go with the property unless they are an exclusion. So make sure you go through these, that you know what's included with the property as either an improvement or an accessory. Now, one thing that comes up on occasion, if you look at where it talks about improvements and it says that they're permanently installed and built-in items, you'll see that is in bold print. Anytime you see something in the contract that's in bold print, TREC is kind of wants to draw your eyes or your attention to that sentence or that paragraph. So if it's permanently installed and built in, something that comes up on occasion are mirrors, decorative mirrors, where maybe they've gone to some kind of designer store and they've bought the special mirror. It's not permanently installed. It's not built in. It's typically hanging on a hanger like a piece of artwork would be. So make sure there's no misunderstanding or confusion there, that if the seller intends to take that item and the buyer thinks that item is going to stay, you probably want to address that and bring that to the listing agent's attention and ask them, even if it's not in special provisions as an exclusion. I mean, in the, not special provisions, but in the MLS under property descriptions or agent remarks, that could lead to a lot of misunderstanding and a lot of confusion. And the bottom line is, you don't want to be paying for a mirror that's just because it's a confusing item. So you want to address those issues. If you can see that it's permanently attached, and how you determine that, you know, if it's nailed, if it's cemented to the wall, it's bolted down, something along those lines. But if it's simply hanging on a picture hook, that's a completely different situation. So all of these items in paragraph B and C, if they exist, they will remain with the property unless it's an exclusion. So if there's something in MLS that's listed as an exclusion, it also needs to be listed in paragraph D. If it's not listed in paragraph D, then that could be up for interpretation. So you just want to make sure that if you get the contract, if you're the listing agent, and the seller has told you that they're excluding one of these or two or more of these items, that those are addressed before the contract's actually executed, not when the property closes and the seller told you, I'm taking the drapes in the bedroom, and that's not included in the contract. The buyer moves in, there's no drapes in the bedroom. They call their agent calls you, and then you remember that conversation that you had 6 months ago, that the seller was taking the drapes, it wasn't addressed in the contract. You probably just bought yourself some drapes that you're never gonna get to use. Well, you may not have wanted them anyway, but that's beside the point. You want to protect your commission, so be careful with this paragraph that any exclusions are included there. That's the end of paragraph 2. We'll see you later for paragraph 3. Have a great day.